So thanks, Joe, for inviting us to be here. We truly feel really honored, and it's like a huge pleasure to be here with you guys. And
You might have to stand a bit closer to the microphone.
oh, sorry. Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, maybe here people can see and hear me properly. So my name is Manuela. I'm a physical therapist, and for the last 10 years maybe we've been trying to understand why patients in rehabilitation settings have so many difficulties to change exercise behavior especially. And the thing is that we started studying motivation theories like the self-determination theories, for example, and after Joe and Thiago came with the unifying theory of physical activity, my challenge was to try to applicate their thoughts of physical activity, this new way of thinking of physical activity in physical therapy and rehabilitation settings. So it's quite a huge challenge because while they are trying to improve the theoretical backgrounds and concepts and tools of the theory itself, I'm trying to apply it in a very practical area of rehabilitation and physical therapy. So I'm going to try to speak for you in the next minutes about what we've been doing and what we are thinking and how can we bring the theory and make it closer to physical therapists and other health professionals also. So basically just a very quick introduction of myself. After I became a mother, I always introduce myself as Noah's mom, and it doesn't matter what are my academic backgrounds and formations and titles, so I always introduce myself as Noah's mother, and Thiago is the father, of course. And basically, why Noah? Of course, he's our son, but basically, he teaches us all the time about movement and many insights that we have just became by just observing him, how he acts and how he exists in this world. So movement is a huge part of our lives, as Thiago told. And what we are trying to do now is to make, especially for me as a PT, to make my patients, our patients, understand that movement can be a huge part of their lives also, but not only in a medical way, not only in a biomedical way, but in a way that makes really sense for them. So yeah, we're just trying to internalize in their lives that exercise could be the best tool for people enjoy their lives more. So basically, that's a huge challenge for everyone. And if we become able to do that, maybe all the changes in health outcomes that we've been seeking for ages, and we're doing great, I mean, but they do not last long. So maybe after that, all this health outcomes improvement will be a consequence of this process. So as Thiago showed you, these are the urges again. I'm not going to talk about them any further. I would like just to show you that these images that I create to represent the urges are based on our son, and to connect is just Thiago and Noah. So the pictures were inspired by them, and in a way to make people, in an easy way for people to understand what does to feel, to explore, to connect, and to transform means, and how they could apply for a lecture, for a physical therapy session, for an exercise session, and things like that. So the first thing for us in physical therapy was to recognize the problem and to make people aware of the problem, because it seems quite obvious, but the thing is that most health professionals do not see this as a problem, because they just go there and rehabilitate and think, okay, if patient is getting better now, I don't need to think about what he's going to do afterwards, after he's got finished the rehabilitation program. So exercise behavior change really requires an urgent debate, like in all areas and everywhere. And basically, this is because the levels of physical inactivity are improving, and like there's no chance that the levels of physical activity are going to be better in the next year, because all the trends, all the studies, all the evidence we have show that they're getting worse by the years, by the time goes by. And some people might think that, oh, but maybe in rehabilitation this might be different, because patients are there with a professional, and the professionals are trying to make patients understand why this is important for their health and things like that. But the reality is that it's not different in rehabilitation. It's just like the same. So it's the same problems for us as healthy human beings that try to be more active, for the patients and for the general population. And even if we have the best evidence about our rehabilitations programs, for example, I work with COPD patients, which is a chronic disease. The patient became very they feel so much breathlessness and fatigue with like very simple activities. And we have like plenty of good systematic reviews showing hundreds of evidence about improving systemic manifestations, symptoms, exercise capacity, health status, quality of life, survival, functional status. But even with all these improvements, no study is capable to show a way to make patients stay active after the rehabilitation's finished. And the first time that we wrote this down was during the pandemic. We wrote this editorial at a journal called COPD regarding what we observed to our patients, because in the very first time that they would not allow to come to us, to come to our rehabs, they just stopped exercising, and those patients were being like rehabilitating for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, some of them. And in the very first time that everything was closed, everything was shut, they just stayed at home doing nothing. So we just decided to try to understand why this was happening. And it was one of the very first moments that we wrote about those concepts. So it's very clear for us that what we have been doing as health professionals to improve exercise is not enough. We should do more. And maybe the answer is that we've been seeking for so many years to the not the wrong paths, but to paths that could not explain the whole thing. So now we have this space, the room to look like for psychological variables, for other things, for other aspects of physical activity that could help us to improve that. So basically, afterwards, we try to understand why is that. And for us, what we've been studying and reading and looking in the literature is that maybe that's because of the way we understand physical activity as something, or as a movement that you only explain. The traditional concept is that you move your muscles, spending energy above or higher than the rest energy expenditure. So maybe it could be related to that, could be related to how close we were as an area of biomedical science and things like that. So what we believe and has been studying is that beyond merely being a remedy, a rehabilitation program must be meaningful for patient lives. And this meaning could not be only conditioned to external motivators like fear of the disease progression, fear of symptom worsening, fear of dying, and things like that. So basically, we're trying to discover a way to create like a soul of rehabilitation, to make rehabilitation more colorful in a way that can represent and mean much more for patients than what it has been doing. So what is lacking it could be the next question, and this missing piece, it's a very complex piece, of course, and we're not so naive to think that this is going to be easy and that this is going to be like a easy way. Because if we look to this piece, like it's not a simple puzzle, a piece puzzle that we can easily put together, and there are so many shapes, so many colors and things like that. So it is, like I said, a huge challenge. But maybe the first thing we need to create is develop the consciousness, the awareness that we might have to face like a huge paradigm shift in rehabilitation and physical therapy, in exercise or between exercise professions. A couple of years ago, we wrote, we've been trying to communicate this in different papers and different journals. A couple of years ago, we wrote this masterclass, which was intended to review the most dominant or most evidence-based and used behavior change theories regarding health or regarding exercise-related behavior change. Afterwards, also, we wrote an editorial in Physiotherapy journal saying, or trying to present the unifying theory to physical therapists as a promising holistic perspective. And we used, I don't know if it's the same here, but in Brazil, the word holistic is used like in a very bad manner to try to represent like pseudosciences and things like that, therapies that do not work and patients' pursuit. But so we always try to make very clear that these holistic words about the UTPA is that it means to seek for or to look for an integral approach, of course, using evidence-based science always. And afterwards, the last one, actually it was the one that Joe used in his email, is this letter to the editorial that we wrote to British Journal of Sports Medicine, also suggests a way to improve the complexity of our rehabilitation environmentals in a way that look or cares about all these things that could help patients to perceive themselves belong to the rehabilitations, to perceive themselves more competent, more autonomous, to seek for all those urges. So basically, in all these three documents, the main message, the take-home message is that first things first, we have to start changing health professionals' behavior. Otherwise, we would never be able to change patients. We are trying to change patients' behavior, but we're not looking for our behavior. So first we have to change ours, and we have to educate, we have to, I mean, I don't know how this is here in UK, but in Brazil, my students, physical therapist students, or maybe health students in general, do not learn about theories and behavior change theories, techniques, and things like that. So it's a huge paradigm change that maybe can be started by changing health professionals' behavior. So that's a fact. We need to understand about human behavior, and we need to know theories and techniques of behavior change, of course. In those three documents also, we try to understand which could be like the basis of this behavior change process for health professionals. And basically, we describe 4 aspects. The first one then is to be able to develop this complex practicing environment by making patients understand and recognize other justifications, reasons, meaning, purposes for exercises, rather than only looking for physical changes. The behavior change techniques definitely need to be prescribed with intention in physical therapy, in exercise, in the very same way that we prescribe like exercise determinants, like frequency, like intensity, like duration, like time, and all the determinants that are very well known. And we need to pursue in those environments, we have to pursue a space where people are able to feel, to explore, to transform, to connect, and almost to perceive the basic psychological needs. So they have to feel autonomous, they have to feel competent, and they have to feel related or belong to that place. So how we've been trying to do that in a very practical manner. I have in Brazil a programa de extensão. Is it Brazilians, could you please help me? Programa de extensão. Outreach. Yeah, I kind of have an outreach project in Brazil, which is called the Urges of Rehabilitation. So I just use the very same name that they gave to the urges of physical activity. This is the logo, this is the Instagram account of this program. And basically we have, as you can see in the logo, each ellipse is resembled to one of the needs. And I'm going to present very quickly for you. So we have the urge to explore, which is basically a journal club in which my students, masters, undergrads, PhDs, and everyone else from our academic community can come and discuss papers based on behavior change, most of them basically on self-determination theory and of course other theories. So these are some pictures of our journal club, and over there's a picture of the seminar that Joe was in Brazil with all my students. So it's a way to make them feel more familiar to the theory and to the concepts, and they're like, most of them have never heard, of course, of none of these theories before. And to transform is another action that we try to promote courses for other programs and other colleagues of other specialities in physical therapy that also see this problem and try to introduce this basis in other kinds of assistance like breast cancer, neurological patients, women's health with endometriosis. We have like so many programs that we try to capacitate. And also I try to use this sense of creating this complex environment also in my lectures. So these are pictures of my lectures back there in Brazil. I don't stay in my classroom all the time. If I stay, I change all the room, all the setting, all the configuration, trying to bring these concepts for students. I always want to create this environment in which they can feel, transform, connect, and I forgot the other one, feel, transform, connect, and explore, of course, in order to make the knowledge or to acquire the knowledge in a non-logical way, but in a way that they will feel better, and afterwards they can, of course, learn and be physical therapists. We have some practice, of course, of movement in the lectures. We don't need the sound. I don't know where to shut the music down. Yeah, but it's a very quick videos to show that all the environment is created to make them perceive, to make them feel physical activity in this very different way. We also have The Connect, which is a podcast. And yesterday night, as we were here yesterday night, we just launched the very first episode of the podcast, which was hosted by me and Thiago, and our special guest was in the inauguration episode was Joe. So yesterday it became online both in Spotify and YouTube. So it's good because you can understand it was recorded in English most of the parts. So maybe you can try to listen to it or to watch it to understand more about the concepts of the theory. And the last one is To Feel, which is a space in which our academic community can practice yoga or mind mind-body therapies, and they also have a therapeutic group with a psychologist, so then can feel and connect better with their emotions, which are going to be very useful for them to deal with the patients and all their strugglings and things in life. Anyway, just my take-home message now. It's very similar to Tiago's, which shows actually that we are very connected in this message, in this move, in this way of thinking, in perceiving physical activity. So for me, living is urgent, therefore moving is also. I think this is a message that we all have to internalize. And if we see physical activity as I said before, a way of making our lives better, rather than only seeking for improving the strength, improving the power, improving the conditioning, or things like that, things are really going to work out. So thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. This is a famous picture, you see, this picture is everywhere. Joe just looking like a tourist in Brazil. He asked us, am I looking like a Brazilian walking the streets? And then we just said, no, everyone knows you are a tourist. So yeah, just keep going. And here again, an invitation for you, of course, to go to Florianopolis. This is Noah, and he was helping the fishermen in the fishing of a very traditional fish that we have in Brazil. And all the small fishes, the baby fishes, they put back on the sea again. So Noah was helping him. And yeah, this is our neighborhood. So everywhere around us is very, very beautiful. Thank you so much.